Tom Brady's had more time to admire his trophies now that he's retired from sports. Or maybe come back. Not his awards, but his lovely automobiles. When TB12 isn't turning the Super Bowl into his own personal party or attempting to persuade us all to drink more water, what do he and Giselle do with all that scratch? Sure, Brady and Giselle have a thing for beautiful cars. He looks to have a vice, which appears to be fast, expensive vehicles. So let's break down his insane car collection. Here we go. First up, the Dodge Dart 67. Tom Brady grew up poor. All American quarterbacks have one thing in common. Their first car was a beat-up 1960s muscle car. That was Tom Brady's first car, a 1967 Dodge Dart. Tom claimed he paid $200 for his sister's automobile. It appears he was always pursuing the cheapest cars, a pattern that would continue long after he became famous. Then, the Tesla Model S 2020. New town, new car? Tom Brady apparently agreed, as he was seen driving about Tampa in a spanking new Tesla Model S. Tom and Giselle already own hybrids, so an EV is a reasonable next step. In comparison to other hybrids owned by the pair, the Tesla Model S is one of the fastest. Tom's Tesla competes with his Bugatti's 0 to 60 time of 2.1 seconds for the Plaid variant. Plus, a budget of under $150,000 fits the couple's frugality. Next up, the Grand Cherokee 2012. Tom and Giselle has owned several expensive and luxurious cars, but this isn't one of them. After all, Jeep builds great automobiles most of the time, but it isn't a manufacturer that will dominate the luxury market or charge exorbitant prices. Regardless, our power couple cruised about in the Jeep Grand Cherokee while Giselle was pregnant with their second child, Vivian Lake, now 5. It's a typical black Grand Cherokee, suitable for errands, older kids, and filling up space with the trash families accumulate. It also resembles the Overland Summit, which had an MSRP of $44,000. We wonder why they upgraded. They had to act, right? Next up, the BMW 335i. Brady adores Audis. He's owned a few, each one increasing his Audi ante. Brady used to drive a basic Audi S5 in the preseason of 2010. We realize it sounds strange to call a car that started at $50,000 over 10 years ago standard, but it is to be Brady. A guy in a minivan ran at a red light and slammed into the then current Brady machine. So he didn't keep the automobile for long. Brady was fine, but one of the minivan's passengers needed medical attention. The other motorist had a suspended license for DUI, speeding, and other offenses. It's good that the GOAT wasn't wounded by this dude's reckless driving. Next up, the Jaguar XF 2011. Our power couple clearly values both capacity and power for their get-around-town cars. Tom exited their Range Rover HSE Lux. This is a classic Range Rover with the supercharged V8 and the best city gas mileage. Okay, maybe not, but at over 20 miles per gallon, it sure beat Tom's Super Bowl MVP Escalade. It also costs about twice as much as the base Grand Cherokee package they bought in 2012. Did Tom and Giselle have their money scare? We can't believe they did it after turning their $11 million Beverly Hills property into a $40 million piece of real estate. Dr. Dre paid $40 million for it. We believe they acquired regular cars for outings and keep the expensive ones locked up for their Brookline MA complex. Next up, the 2018 TB12 edition Vanquish S Volante. Tom Brady, a motor enthusiast, gets to experience things most people would never think of. For example, you can sign a deal with Aston Martin to be their pitchman. Brady's decision made sense given his previous love of Aston Martins. The story takes a turn for the worse, though. Brady designed a limited edition Vanquish S Volante automobile for Aston Martin, and just 12 were sold. The exclusivity of the car's MSRP, if there is such a thing, is $359,950. Although we're sure no one can spend considerably more money on it. The real question is whether Brady gets one of the 12 or they just build a 13th for him. Next up, the 2012 Rolls-Royce Ghost. Isn't this the car that most represents luxury and excess in automotive history? Rolls-Royce has traditionally been associated with the wealthy and powerful, so it's no surprise Tom and Giselle drive one. The odd thing about it is that there are loads of pictures online of them loading and unloading their 3 kids. Can you envision baby car seats in a Rolls-Royce? No way. Consider the sippy cups and goldfish smeared throughout the seats and floor. We get shivers thinking about what those kids are doing to the inside of that car. And finally, the Bugatti Veyron Sport 2013. Finally, the mega rich show that they are a distinct breed. While Rolls-Royce could be the luxury leader, Bugatti is the speed leader. After all, this is a car that hits 60 miles per hour in under 2 seconds. Seriously? The quarter mile max out is at 151 miles per hour. Where do you drive that? The automobile might get tired of driving around suburban Boston and try to take off, if we were Tom. The blasted thing has a W16 8.0-liter 1200 horsepower engine. That's just approximately 1,000 more horses than you need to get electrolyte water from the shop. Maybe the BBs have a secret drag racing track on their enormous property, or an underground racetrack. We couldn't put anything past them based on their penchant for lavish car purchases. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching and making it to the end. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like down below. See you next time and have a great day.